You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. Police officer accused of killing NSAMA, CHIPYOKA and a UPND cadre, Joseph KAUNDA, committed to the High Court. VEEP accuses opposition of being behind the splashing of money. PF says it is watching every Zambian judge in view of President Edgar Lungu's eligibility debate. In international news, one person dies after Senegalese police clashed with supporters. And in sports news, CLATOUS, CHAMA, KABASO, CHIBWE and SINKALA named in MICHO'S provisional squad. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
And bananas. Work and wait, and this what you've been praying for.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga. Vice President Inonge Winner says the police splashing huge sums, the people rather, splashing huge sums of money on social media platforms could be from the opposition and not the Patriotic Front as being alleged. Responding to a question in Parliament from a Patizia Member of Parliament, Clive Muyunda, on whether government has taken interest in investigating PF cadres that are splashing money on social media, Mrs. Winner distanced the Patriotic Front Party from the issue, claiming that it is the opposition behind the acts. The Vice President was, however, quick to mention that investigative wings have taken interest in the matter and the findings will be availed to the police once the conclusions are made. Meanwhile, the Vice President says government is still committed to improving the country's infrastructure, specifically the road network, despite halting the projects that were below 80%. She says the Lusaka-Ndola dual carriageway was below the 80%, hence being on hold until government sources for funds.
Mr. Speaker, the police are already investigating these so-called cadres who are brandishing lots of money in public. And the PF is distancing itself from the purported PF cadres who are seen in several videos that have gone viral brandishing money. This is the more reason why, Mr. Speaker, the police has taken a keen interest in the matter and has instituted investigations. I will not be surprised, Mr. Speaker, to learn after investigations that actually some of these cadres masquerading as PF belong to other political parties. Because they are watermelon, you are right. Mr. Speaker, the Lusaka-Ndola carriageway is not under the 80% completion infrastructure. So that project has to wait for an appropriate time once government has mobilized enough resources. Currently, His Excellency President Edgar Lungu has clearly indicated that the country should not secure more dates.
Still on infrastructure development, pupils at Monica Primary School in Eastern Province are learning in a church due to the lack of decent classrooms. The school, which had its roof blown off and part of its walls fallen down, has not been attended to by authorities since then. And a volunteer teacher at the school has bemoaned the poor state in which the pupils are accessing education from. However, a local businessman, EDGAR, has donated building materials, among them 20 bags of cement and 150 iron sheets, towards the reconstruction of the school. More in this report.
Access to education still remains a challenge in most parts of the country, especially in rural areas. Recent records indicate that at least over 9 million children may drop out of school completely due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a challenge that has been added to many other challenges in the education sector, especially for developing countries. Monica Primary School in Musanzala, Eastern Province, has been running in a dilapidated state, resulting in many school dropouts, not because of COVID, but because the school has no teachers and the classroom block had its roof blown off in 2015, and since yesterday, no help had come forth to turn around the situation.
Tilina mavuto ya school inavumbuka malata 2015. Mpeza kuti sikonze watipunzira mchejo kutoka 2015 until now.
But a local businessman, EDGAR, has come to their aid and donated assorted building materials. Mr. Daka, who is commonly known as Eri Boma, and Musanzala, aspiring candidate, says education is key to rural poverty alleviation, hence making the donation.
Monica School, which has been in this state since 2016, and looking at the suffering of the people and the way the children have complained that they are learning from a church which is not designed for teaching, we have decided to donate the roofing sheets, the timber, the nails, and some pocket of cement to enable this school be maintained to a standard where it can be habitable for our children, because we can't allow our pupils or our children to learn in such an infrastructure, because we are saying these are our leaders of tomorrow.
And headman in the area is grateful for the gesture.
Ivumbuka na mvula koma kuchoka nthawi yamene iyo 2015 kuzofika pali pano tayesako kudandaula umu na umu komoti yavya vasowa koma mwalero kati nchisomo cha Mulungu Eliboma wazipereka mwathunthu kuti newo ni ujeni malatana ngati kuti nikusireni nikukonzereni kilasi block pali pano seyo kwasu ni chiyamiko kuti zati promisa aba Eliboma areas Daka zisangopita na manzi kapena nkhale chinyengo yayi.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News.
Operation Young Vote Executive Director Gesni Renda has questioned the Russian enacting the Cybersecurity and Cyber Crimes Bill. On Thursday, Parliament passed the Cybersecurity Crimes Bill beyond the second reading. Mr. Nyirenda believes that the enactment of the bill has everything to do with the August 12th general elections. He notes that the speed at which the proponents and minority in the country's population are moving on anything stifling the democratic space and people's rights and freedoms is worrying. Mr. Nyirenda says the appetite to use or abuse the arrogance of numbers in parliament by some political party to make bad laws is a clear manifestation of schemes to entrench the animal farm syndrome.
The hard-heartedness that we are seeing the Patriotic Front government move in terms of bringing up the cyber crimes and cyber security bill with the arrogance of numbers is quite disheartening and worrying. It is this same government that has refused to give the Zambian people the access to information law, a law that will help and enhance the citizens' decision making, citizens' participation and engagement in governance, development, and the well-being of themselves as citizens. We see that they are very fast to use the arrogance of numbers in parliament to bring up this cyber security and cyber crimes bill that will infringe on the privacy of the people, but also that will infringe on their democratic participation and rights in terms of them engaging in the issues of governance.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says it will continue to hold talks with the Zambian government over a program, though a number of teething issues remain unresolved. The IMF, in a statement made available to the media, says significant progress has been made and discussions are expected to continue in the next few weeks following additional technical work on the appropriate policy package. However, the IMF says there is still work needed towards implementing fiscal reforms to correct large fiscal imbalances, ramping up revenues and improving governance. And in a separate statement, Zambia's Finance Minister Walyangandu says government was committed to securing an IMF program. Zambia and the IMF had Thursday, the 4th of March 2021, concluded its 2-week talks over an IMF program in the country. And moving on in the news, Zambia has become the #1 breakthrough market for Irish whiskey Jameson sales over the past decade. According to information published by the Irish Embassy in Lusaka, Irish whiskey sales increased in the country from 1,500 cases in 2010 to 61,300 cases in 2019, representing 10% of the total consumption in Africa. Based on the current retail price of around 400 kwacha per bottle, this brings in an estimation of about 294 million kwacha, or 15 million United States dollars worth of revenue annually. And Consumer Unit Trust Cuts Program Officer Ishmael Zulu says the figures are an indication that the country is still relying on foreign products, which calls for the private sector to take advantage of the opportunity and create brands that can compete with international brands. Details in this report.
The Irish whiskey has increased its sales across Africa from 716,000 cases to 8.6 million bottles, representing 177% sales increment since 2010. However, Zambia is said to be consuming about 10% of the total sales in Africa, making Zambia the #1 breakthrough market for Irish whiskey or Jameson sales over the past decade. This means Zambia is consuming more imported Irish whiskey more than any other country in Africa. And based on the current retail price of around 400 kwacha per bottle, this brings an estimated revenue of about 294 million kwacha, or 15 million United States dollars annually from the sales of the whiskey in the country. Meanwhile, the Consumer Unit Trust Cuts says the figures are worrisome, considering that huge amounts of money are being spent on the consumption of foreign alcohol.
Known to be a high alcohol consumption country. Even the few international colleagues that I've interacted with, whenever I say I'm from Zambia, they say Zambia is known for alcohol consumption. And I think it probably has to do with the level, the extent to which whiskies such as Jameson have been advertised and marketed to the Zambian market. I think they've recognized that Zambians like alcohol, and they've sought ways in which they can take advantage of that and market their brand within Zambia itself.
Mr. Zulu also says the private sector in the country needs to take advantage of the Zambian market and create brands that can compete on the local and international market.
Headline that is something that we can be specifically proud of as a country, because it goes to show how many people are indulging in alcohol, which cannot necessarily be identified as one of the productive ways of spending time as a population, but then it goes to show how much exactly in terms of monetary form we're spending on alcohol. However, I think it presents an opportunity for us as a country. The article shows that in a year we're spending about $15 million US just on Irish whiskey. I think when you translate that, and if as Zambians were spending that amount of money on local brands, it would allow companies to create revenue. It would create jobs for our local manufacturers here in Zambia. So I think it's an opportunity. One, the private sector can begin exploiting this already existing market to create a brand that the local people would like, which would then contribute to government revenue.
Zambia has continued to be known as one of the large consumers of alcohol in Africa. This is evidenced by the amount of alcohol sold in the country every year, and what is more worrisome is the increase in the underage drinking, which has now attracted the attention of the head of state, who told the nation this year that alcohol and substance abuse remains a serious concern in the society, and if left unchecked could lead to dysfunctional homes and societies. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Federation of Free Trade Unions of Zambia, FF2's President Chingati Musiska has called on the Ministry of Labour inspectors to monitor the implementation of the Employment Code Act. Speaking in an interview, Mr. Musiska says there are some employers who are abrogating the act, thus the need for labour inspectors to take in interest in the matter. He has further called on employees who feel that their employers are abrogating the law to report such matters to the Ministry of Labour or trade unions for action. And Mr. Musiska has warned employers against abrogating the law, saying if found wanting, the unions will ensure that provisions of the new Employment Act are enforced on them.
Which came into effect in May this year, meaning everyone else needed to just provide housing allowance for, maybe to say the few, and also mortgage if it's not there, and also facilitate transport and all those other items. The implementation aspect, I think, yes, as much as it's being done by Minister of Labour, being the controllers of this act, we as a labour movement has taken keen interest, and we want to appeal to the employees, our members, to make sure that if we have any abrogation of this act, the matter should be escalated and reported to relevant authorities. You can come through the unions as well as the ministry itself, so that the employer that is found wanting brought to book. And we want so far to state here that we had situations where collective agreements that are not does not reflect what is what is within the law, the act, are referred back to the negotiation table, and that is the way to go. So we want to commend the inspectors, we want to commend the Minister of Labour for that kind of an initiative, where if the Employment Act is not applying in the collective agreement, it's referred back for discussion. I think that is the way to go. But so far so good, and we just hope that there will be no mercy in the way we handle this amendment.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has committed Constable Fanuel Nyundu, a police officer accused of killing a state prosecutor, to the Lusaka High Court for trial. This is in a matter in which the 25-year-old police officer has been charged with 2 counts of murder. The accused, who appeared before Magistrate Felix Kalma Friday morning, was informed that the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, had authorized his commuter to the High Court, as the Magistrate Court had no jurisdiction to handle murder cases. Constable Nyundu is accused of having shot a senior state prosecutor, NSAMA CHIPYOKA, and a UPND cadre, Joseph KAUNDA. The alleged murder is said to have occurred on the 23rd of December 2020, as police officers tried to disperse United Party for National Development UPND supporters who had gone to offer solidarity to their party leader, Hakainde Hichilema, who was summoned at police force headquarters. Still in court news, Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Lamek Mwale has placed Patriotic Front PF Lusaka Province Youth Chairman Daniel Kalemba on his defense after he was found after he was found with a case to answer in a case in which he is accused of assaulting self-proclaimed PF National Commander Innocent Kalimanshi and Nathan Piri using a Castle-Lite bottom. This was after the court ruled that the state had established a prima facie case against the accused to warrant him to be placed on his defense. Allegations in the matter are that Kalembe, on the 12th of March 2020, during the Youth Day celebration, attacked Kalimanshi and Piri at the Freedom Statue after they refused to heed to his directive for them to leave the premises. The cadres then engaged in a physical fight right in the presence of President Edgar Lungu, who was officiating at the event. More in this report.
Patriotic Front Lusaka Youth Chairman Daniel Kalembe is said to commence his defense in April after being found with a case to answer in a matter he has been accused of assaulting Innocent Kalimanshi, a self-proclaimed PF commander, and Nathan Piri using a bottle. Kalembe is said to commence his defense on the 7th next month following the court's ruling. In this case, Kalembe is accused of committing the said offense on March 12, 2020. When the matter came before court this morning, the state called 2 witnesses before closing their case. The first witness called on stand, Joseph Kozi, Kasama Central Member of Parliament Kelvin Sampa's driver, testified that he did not see Kalembe assaulting the 2 complainants on Youth Day, but saw a man he identified as Tolo of being behind their attack. In his testimony before court, Kozi narrated that on the material day, it was Tolo who was in the camp.
We now take our first set of commercials. Do stay with us as we still have more interesting stories lined up for you.
Nalandi usinkubeti uibise mojo basayone. Mwina mushi nakuletera njinga latest inaluvesigia na mawaipa
difficult ya shidia njinga ya 19 pendefcon transport we got it.
Nanga phone for communication ipunzi sana chizungu. Yeah, you see what I mean?
It's a Camnet difficult.
It's communication, we got it. Indemo powerful system ndimba X-Buzz
mufumile kukalale na mnaimo muri bakumushi we got it. Yo bikro utola inoleta nchemfule mungani. Get you watch the post and change. 1, 2, 3, both of you. Kabala ngempang. Don't be stupid. We got it.
Super cereal. We always start our day with nutritious super cereal. It's so easy to make. Just add hot water or milk. Fortified with essential vitamins, gives you energy and keeps you alert. Super cereal is so good for you. Comes in 3 yummy flavors: original, banana, and strawberry, and tastes so good.
Easy Super Cereal is made from non-GMO maize and soya and is good for the whole family. Found in all leading stores.
Super cereal.
Quick and easy.
Tastes delicious. Super cereal. Full of goodness.
Makes you stronger.
Super cereal.
Easy Super Cereal. Brought to you by Java Foods.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options. From those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Hello, I'm I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. As the heat of the eligibility of President Edgar Lungu to contest the 2021 general election continues to wage on, the ruling Patriotic Front PF has now accused the opposition of intending to bribe some judges to nullify his candidature. Mr. Monga says the PF has intelligence information to the effect that the opposition has set aside a lot of money meant to bribe judges to disqualify President Lungu from contesting the 2021 election. Mr. Monga has since warned all Zambian judges that are being watched closely and must not fall into the temptations of going ahead with their planned schemes. Lawyer John Sangwa is on record having said that his petition against President Edgar Lungu's petition is already ready on his laptop and waiting for President Edgar Lungu to file in his nomination papers and then lodge it in with the courts of law. More in this report.
As the poor day draws nearer, the judiciary has not been spared from the spotlight of what is ahead, mostly on the issue of President Edgar Lungu's eligibility to contest the general elections. The bone of contention has been that President Edgar Lungu has only served one full term while he completed the other one on behalf of late President Michael Sata, and hence that did not constitute a full term. However, lawyer John Sangwa and PF aspiring presidential candidate Kelvin Fube, commonly known as KBF, have made it clear that President Edgar Lungu is not eligible to contest the 2021 general elections because he has been sworn in twice. According to John Sangwa, once President Edgar Lungu files in his nomination, he will challenge his eligibility. Meanwhile, Friday, Patriotic Front Lusaka Province Chairman Paul Monga accused opposition political parties of planning to bribe judges so that they can disqualify President Edgar Lungu ahead of the 12 August general elections. He says the judges are being watched and warned them against falling prey to deploy by the opposition political parties to seek to nullify the elections.
We try to buy, but not all judges can be the same. Believing that may buy some few judges, nullify the credibility of our candidate. That's their focus. So put your money to play the party. They are busy putting money to see whom they can corrupt a judge to nullify our president. We are very much alive, we are aware, and we are watching all the judges in Zambia. Kindly don't fall prey to these monsters who have no man manifest for this country. Don't fall prey to these monsters who have no agenda for Zambia, whose agenda is simply to become the president of Zambia at any cost.
Mr. Monga has since advised opposition political parties to look for better ways of campaigning ahead of the polls, claiming that the PF has delivered according to the expectations of the people.
For members of the opposition political parties, they have still enough time to go in the field, to go and cultivate, find the voters, than wasting money to pay lawyers. Let that money go and buy motor vehicles, motorcycles, staying materials, food for their food soldiers. That's wasting. We shall see them once they file the nomination. We shall go and say, no, Mr. KAUNDA, you can't be an MP material. No, you don't qualify. What a nonsense. Remember the press? I want you also, remember the press who can dig deeper than all just getting reports. If you really can dig deeper, you'll find me. So what the Monga was saying is true.
At the same meeting, Mr. Monga further stated that the PF will not condone indiscipline among youths.
We are focused towards 2030. We are more focused. So 2030, how many vehicles will be in Zambia? We're highly focused, but with our new manifesto coming now, the question will be, so double for Tuombe, Tell us why we're not going to done away. Then shall do it. So tapa wa bomba ya pita. Now our slogan, so tapa tuombe. So tapa tuombe walumba wombe. That's our new slogan.
As events in the electoral process unfold, we can only wait and see the outcome of the legal battles ahead. Patrick Soko, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The National Water Supply and Sanitation Council, NWASCO, says Zambian women have continued to be sidelined when it comes to influencing policy and actively participating in decision-making positions, despite them being the majority in the country. NWASCO Director Kelvin Chitumbo says there is a justification on the importance of including women in leadership and decision-making positions in the country. Mr. Chitumbo was speaking when he addressed the company staff ahead of the commemoration of the International Women's Day, which falls on the 8th of March 2021. And gender consultant Edwidge Mutale says men are key to women empowerment and ensuring that women take up leadership positions. This year's International Women's Day is being commemorated under the theme Women in Leadership, Achieving an Eco Future in the COVID-19 World. Details in this report.
They say when you educate a woman, you educate the entire community. Zambia is on Monday, 8th March 2021, expected to commemorate the International Women's Day under the theme Women in Leadership, Achieving an Eco Future in the COVID-19 World. The National Water Supply and Sanitation Council, NWASCO, has commemorated the International Women's Day at its offices Friday morning. In addressing company employees, NWASCO Director Kelvin Chitumbo says men are a key stakeholder in the trajectory of gender inclusion.
This is in the spirit of gender inclusion as we are alive to the fact that men are a key stakeholder in this gender trajectory.
And the gender activist Edwidge Mutale says inasmuch as men have a role to play in ensuring that women take up leadership positions, women should learn to support each other if gender balance is to be attained in the country.
To create awareness, we cannot change what we are not aware of, but once we are aware, we cannot help but change. Except was Lanamayo Muyakunga Ndale Rumia not to fresh agenda, the Munama gender rose to Ayakana. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no more Flash Cabbage, no Punjava and Amateur. Please, Wakamita, these things, if you need your friends to introduce them slowly. Now we should boss. We talk about what you benefit from. Now we should boss. Ilinde to why you are my kaka for one. Minchina sana kesana. Kwanza na yoga na kusha. Na karaka kaya hiyo ndio sampu na yoga wenu. Proper so. No banga na isa nina. Share bombe. The man you think about it, it's for his benefit. You look after the baby. Don't introduce it into
The medical doctor from the University Teaching Hospital took time to sensitize the men on prostate cancer and how it can be prevented.
Somewhere in the world, a man is being diagnosed with prostate cancer. Data from the 2020 cancer registry. So this is just figures of total cancer cases in Zambia from 2020. So in total, we had about 13,831 new cancer diagnoses in Zambia last year. And of those, 1,546 were prostate cancer. Bringing it a bit closer to home.
Women have continued to be the majority in the country. According to the World Bank, Zambia's female population in 2019 stood at 50.5%, hence the need to continue engaging the women in key decision positions to ensure that their interests are safeguarded. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company has reaffirmed its resolve to ensure that no one is left behind in accessing safe and clean water as well as affordable sanitation in the city. Company Managing Director Jonathan Kampata says the water utility company is committed towards improving fecal sludge management. Mr. Kampata was speaking when he handed over light trucks to fecal sludge management service providers valued at a total cost of 3,250,000 kwacha to the private service providers.
All right. I'll take it to the farm. The trucks you're receiving today will go a long way in emptying the pits in the city, and we hope that more beneficiaries as compared to last year will be saved this year, since the challenge of transport will now be overcome. We hope to see an increase in the volume of fecal sludge, which will be safely emptied and delivered to the treatment plants for the protection of public health, groundwater, and the environment at large. It is also important to note that until you fully pay, Mr. President and your members, the property will still remain in the hands of Lusaka Water. But we are confident that with the business that's going to be generated, you will even be able to pay ahead of time, so that we can change the ownership. My appeal is for you to look after this equipment and put it to the intended use.
I also want to thank the management through the hard-working director of Lusaka Water and Sewerage, who have been our all-weather partners, who have empowered a lot of Zambians as we are about to witness now. We also extend our gratitude to the collaborating partners who are working with the government and our water utility to make this become a reality.
National Democratic Congress Party Deputy Spokesperson CHIPYOKA Mulenga has advised Copperbelt NDC Chairman George Sichula to term his excitement. Mr. Mulenga is saddened that some party members have started disrespecting Mr. Kambwili amidst the differences that have arisen from the alliance issues. He notes that Dr. Kambwili has taken this misunderstanding within the NDC as an internal matter and not dragging others into it, hence the need for all well-meaning party members to follow suit. He has wondered what would happen if Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and Chishimba Kambwili agree and reconsider working together. Mr. Mulenga has since advised all NDC members to remain calm and observe high levels of respect of the situation.
It is quite unfortunate that following the fallout of the alliance by the NDC and the alliance partners, we have witnessed a continued assault of words by the provincial chairperson for Copperbelt of NDC, George Sichula, against Dr. Kambwili. This is very unfortunate. He has continued to disparage him, calling him names and accusing him of using bad words against his counterpart, President HH. Dr. Kambwili only issued one statement to explain to the nation why NDC had moved out of the alliance, and he holds his counterpart HH in high esteem. Both of them are senior leaders of very different political parties, and both of them have got the Zambian nation interest at heart. Their fallout is not personal, but on principle. They just couldn't agree on certain issues. Therefore, it is unfortunate that the young provincial chairperson for Copperbelt, leading a group of a little or a few disgruntled youths and other people, could go on to disparage Dr. Kambwili. If that's what he wants, and if that's the path he has chosen, it's lamentable. I ask my brother George to refrain from this and reconsider his behavior. Because if he can insult Dr. Kambwili today, tomorrow he will insult even his new masters. It's unfortunate. And what will he do should Dr. Kambwili and HH, who may be talking behind the scenes, reconcile and find common grounds on how they should move with the alliance? So my brother, stop disparaging senior leaders of the political parties who appointed you to lead. It's unfortunate.
National Development Planning Minister Alexander Chiteme says he will continue exploring new frontiers to build a more resilient and sustainable Zambia. The minister says the Human Development Report provides useful insights for the formulation of public policy and other development agendas for countries including Zambia. He says the report highlights the need to move beyond seeking to resolve discrete problems with singular solutions, a part that Zambia has taken for some time now. Mr. Chiteme said this in a speech read on his behalf by the ministry's permanent secretary in charge of development cooperation, monitoring and evaluation, Trevor KAUNDA, during the launch of the 2020 Human Development Report in Lusaka today. Meanwhile, UN Resident Coordinator Dr. Komba Magardio says the Human Development Report provides timely theoretical and empirical reference materials for the development of country analysis, and new cooperation framework will form the basis of the UN support within the next programmatic cycle.
In 2020, we saw one novel virus threatening to reverse decades of development milestones achieved everywhere, including here in Zambia. The report, as has been indicated, highlights the need to move beyond seeking to solve discrete problems with singular solutions. Instead, we must connect the dots and equip ourselves to navigate complex, interconnected social and ecological systems. The need for this is illustrated by the COVID-19 pandemic, which was both created and has been maintained by planetary and social imbalances. It is further proposed that we need to find ourselves in this new geological age, the Anthropocene era, or the age of the humans. The report makes it clear that the planetary and social imbalances that we face globally are a threat to every country, and that human development that is not in balance with the planet is not really development at all.
A non-governmental organization calling itself Standing Up for the Youths and Women in Zambia through its district director, Gift Chingandu, says the fight against HIV and AIDS needs concerted efforts, urging members of the community to keep sight of the fight amidst the COVID-19 crisis. The institution has called for community shared responsibility to overcome not only COVID-19 but also HIV and AIDS pandemic that is still present globally. Mr. Chingandu notes that despite significant successes, the AIDS emergency is not yet over. He was speaking when he held a meeting with community members and workers for China Geo in Petauke over the weekend. Meanwhile, Mr. Chingandu says his organization is determined to come up with a local task force and committees mandated to implement interventions aimed at addressing social and cultural drivers of child marriage in the communities of Petauke district. He says the district has recorded many cases of early childbirth, which he says has contributed to the rise in the HIV and AIDS cases.
A lot of myths surrounding HIV, such that when you come out negative, when you are HIV positive, when you are on treatment, when you are tested negative, does it mean that you have been cured? Those things have been cleared to them. We are hoping for the best from them, that those workers who are on HIV treatment and they were tested HIV negative because of good compliance to treatment, they should continue taking the HIV treatment. We have seen there are a lot of teenagers around here. It's possible that the colleagues who are working from here to go out and start going out, impregnating girls who are vulnerable in this community because they are finding money as they get paid from the job they are doing.
Kunzisa hivi bali zifukwa zambili. Kifukwa cha number 1 ni chakuti. Mumunzu mupafupi na pewa senzera chena juo. Mlivana washichepele. Mlivana washichepele mwamene umu. Wanga wapase matenda. Futi wanga wapase na mamimba. No wonder tuwela pano pakampu kuzoa punzisa so that it is easy.
As you are aware and in line with the EIA regulations and also various regulations that govern implementation of projects, we are required to implement, among other things, the HIV and AIDS sensitization in areas where we are working as a contractor. And we have started this program with the local service provider who is providing the HIV and AIDS sensitization, among other health concerns that might affect our workers, but also the public where we are implementing our activities.
The 4 pupils of Twin Palm Secondary School accused of killing Ryan Piri, a grade 12 pupil of Kablonga Boys Secondary School, have commenced their trial before the Lusaka High Court and pleaded not guilty. The juveniles aged between 16 and 19 are charged with 1 count of murder, contrary to Section 200 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87. It is alleged that the 4 on December 4th, 2020, in Lusaka, jointly and whilst acting together, killed Ryan Piri, a grade 12 pupil of Kablonga Boys Secondary School. And appearing before Justice Sharon Nawa, Benjamin Chola, a 22-year-old who was the first state witness to testify in the matter, told court that on the material day, some younger pupils from their school approached them and informed them that a cohort of pupils from Twin Palm Secondary School were beating up any pupil they see in a Kablonga Boys uniform. He testified that he and his friends got very scared and decided to approach some Twin Palm pupils they saw at a nearby place to ask them why they were attacking pupils from his school. He said a fight later ensued, but the pupils at Twin Palm were too many and could not challenge them, hence managed to escape together with a few colleagues, but Ryan remained behind. But around 18 hours, they received information from one of their friends that Ryan, who had been rushed to the hospital with injuries, had died. Trial continues on the 10th of March 2021. The residents of Lusaka's Mutanderi Compound in Munali constituency have denounced the culture of political handouts in the build-up to the August 12th polls. The residents say they would rather get empowered with tangible economic ventures as opposed to handouts which never serve any purpose. Speaking when they took part in the Tigwilizane community-based initiative pioneered by Patriotic Front Munali constituency, aspiring Member of Parliament Crispin Chinda, the residents who volunteered to participate in the construction of road drainages and maintenance programs say they want tangible development in their constituency.
The 2020-2021 rainy season has presented a lot of challenges in various communities of Lusaka. Most roads become impassable, and this is Mahatma Gandhi Road, which links to the PHI Road. The drainage system is equally poor, hence the people could not wait for authorities to come and work on this road, as that may even take forever. With the intervention of Munari constituency parliamentary hopeful on the PF ticket, Crispin Chinda, the people took part on the Tigwirizane community-led initiative. The residents who volunteered to take part in the construction of drainages and maintenance of the road acknowledged the need to take part in developmental issues affecting them in their locality and renounced the tendency of being given handouts only for the purpose of soliciting for votes. And Mr. Chinda says his motivation is to promote a culture of hard work among the people and avoid waiting for government's intervention for everything.
First and foremost, I'd love to echo something and say, amongst all the people that you say are his competitors, I don't want to believe that Mr. Christian has a competitor. He's not competing with everyone, what he is doing is what he has been doing. He has always been a community leader. And when you give people money, you're not solving any problem, you know. So what he's doing is teaching people how to fish, not giving people money, no.
Bazimai, jeni tirimbe, more especially bazimai, not zinkala jabe kumanyumba we. Wembekeza vintu vobwera veka stizachita. Jeni tisebenze pamozi bazimai. Madai batikirina mu marodi ndiye atuchipita moteka. Kulipama na zabu akatisebenzere muno Bonse wade kumverako bazimai jeni tinyamuke tisebenzere pamozi.
He says as a person who is based in Munari constituency, he wants to work with the people and for the people in influencing positive development outcomes.
To encourage our people to work together, not all the time, boma yanganepo, but it's mkomo tishta chani. So it's us now to work with the people. But besides that, we are also encouraging our young people to acquire skills, because trades, when they have these trade skills, they can survive wherever they can go. So hard work starts from here, and wherever they can go, if they have a trade, working hard with a skill that they have, they can make money. That is what we encourage, and even after getting into office, that's what I will try to develop amongst our people.
Overall, development is not only influenced by what the government can do for you, but what you can do for the community. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
We take another set of commercials. Do stay with us as we still have more interesting stories lined up for you.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You've heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Can I have that meal over there? And I really want that crisp, fresh apple taste in the garden. Can I have happy apple?
I think I'll have my big bite 2 meal with happy waziwaka. Give us your
enjoy an appetizing big bite meal with an happy drink of your choice. A meal is not a meal without an happy drink. And now introducing Happy in a can.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, Senegalese police clashed with supporters of the arrested opposition leader Ousmane Sonko on Thursday, leaving one person dead. It was the first death confirmed in clashes since Sonko was detained on Wednesday for disturbing public orders. Protests broke out before his court appearance on a rape charge. Sonko, leader of the opposition party and a former presidential candidate, is considered a key potential challenger for the president, Macky Sall, in elections in 3 years. One person was killed in clashes in Bignona town in the southern Casamance region, a police officer said. Sonko's arrest triggered the worst unrest seen in the capital of Senegal in years, a West African country known for its stability.
Supporters of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko shelter inside Dakar's Sheikh Anta Diop University. They chant, "Free Sonko," and call President Macky Sall a dictator. Police respond by firing tear gas, but the crowd is defiant. Outside the police station where Sonko is held for questioning, security forces struggle to control the situation.
The Senegalese people are tired and not dupes. We are being manipulated by the government. They say Sonko is creating public disorder. This is all an excuse to arrest a political opponent to the president. We will stand by Sonko.
In early February, Sonko was accused of rape. He denies any wrongdoing, saying the case is politically motivated. Followed by his supporters, Sonko was arrested on his way to meet the judge, sparking nationwide protests.
Mr. Sonko has not committed any act with a view to disturbing public order. He was answering the summons of the court, and you are all witnesses to that.
Sonko, a former bureaucrat turned politician, was the youngest candidate in the 2019 presidential election, where he finished third. He describes himself as an anti-establishment politician, accusing the political elite, including President Macky Sall, of corruption. He has denounced French corporations, saying they make profits off the back of poor Senegalese. Following his arrest, demonstrators looted French supermarkets and gas stations. With several officers injured, SWAT teams were dispatched to stop the riots.
Now, protesters are throwing stones both in this area of the university and right behind me. For the last 2 days, the security forces have failed to enter the premises of the university, and demonstrators say they'll continue this protest movement until Ousmane Sonko is freed.
The military has called in reinforcements to protect strategic sites. The government says these demonstrations are unauthorized. 2 television stations were taken off air for broadcasting the riots. Public gatherings have been banned to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. But these protesters see in the government measures a ploy to silence them. And in the court case against Sonko, an attempt by President Macky Sall to eliminate a popular political opponent defying the political system. Nicholas Hawk, Al Jazeera, Dakar.
We now get into sports news. Zamfoot Sports reports that Zambia national head coach Mitchell has named his provisional squad for the back-to-back 2021 Cameroon to be played in 2022 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Algeria and Zimbabwe. Mitchell has recalled defender KABASO Chongo, midfielder CLATOUS CHAMA and striker Brian Willer for the 2 crucial encounters. The Serbian Wolf has also recalled 2012 AFCON winner Nathan SINKALA and South African-based Gominda Cyril Mwenyachiwe, a former Zanaco duo of Roderick Kabwe and Salulani Piri, has also returned to the Chipolo Boys setup. Red Bull Salzburg duo of striker Patrick Daka and midfielder Ace Enoch Mwepu led the lineup. Zambia is bottom of Group H with just 3 points from 4 games and needs 2 wins to find their way back to the biggest football fiesta on the continent since 2015. Algeria tops the group on 10 points while Zimbabwe lies second with 5. Zambia will host Algeria on March 25th before trekking to Harare 4 days later for the back-to-back encounters in Group H of final qualifiers. That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. Police officer accused of killing NSAMA CHIPYOKA and a UPND cadre, Joseph KAUNDA, committed to the High Court. VEEP accuses opposition of being behind the splashing of money. PF says it is watching every Zambian judge in view of President Edgar Lungu's eligibility debate. In international news, one person dies after Senegalese police clashed with supporters. And in sports news, CLATOUS, CHAMA, KABASO, CHIBWE and SINKALA named in MICHO'S provisional squad. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of John 5 verse 24, and it reads, I assure you, anyone who hears my word and believes him who sent me has eternal life and will not come under judgment, but has passed from death to life. On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV News on Camnet TV, not just another channel.